Well, a new arts event is coming to Reigate, and it's going to be so big, venues have been block booked for a whole weekend. The new music fest that's been held at old Reigations in the past, you may have been to it, is evolving this year into the Reigate Summer Festival. It's a celebration of local talent and creativity in all of the arts. So as well as live music, there's going to be dance and drama, film, poetry, literature, art and comedy, and all in the middle of town. Now, one of the team behind it all is Tim Glyn-Jones. Now, you may know him from Reigate's new music nights, a Reigate Priory football club. And I caught up with him to ask about that. And also, a little bit later on, in a couple of minutes' time, you'll hear us talking about the Reigate Summer Festival as well.
New Music Nights was set up back in 2013 to provide a platform for people who write their own songs. Reigate is really well catered for live music. Lots of the pubs do it, but they want covers bands for obvious reasons. So if you write your own music, there wasn't really a place to get out and play it, so I wanted to create that. So we launched that in 2013, and since then we've put on 200 different acts over the years, some of which are fantastic. We're completely sort of genre agnostic, so any age, any genre, you come and play, and it's all about, having a place to perform whatever your creativity is music-wise.
I get the impression there's a big wealth of talent in this area. The number of singing groups and orchestras and bands is phenomenal, isn't it?
I think in the classical music world there's a lot of expertise around here. With pop music there's less of an obvious sort of forum for it, so I don't know. I mean, there could be people living here who have been in bands who have done really well in music, but there's not really the network to know about that, and I guess we've been building that up a bit over the years. So there's an awful lot of talent, and I think that kind of comes from the fact there's an awful lot of people who love music. They love listening to it and they love writing it and performing it.
Maybe in some towns, obviously cities, more urban areas perhaps, you do tend to have a particular club, a particular venue or a pub, sometimes perhaps underground and those kind of things where people do flock to on a Friday night. I'm thinking of, there used to be the Forum, didn't there, over in Tunbridge Wells. I'm not sure that's still going, but those kinds of places that Reigate and Redhill don't seem to have.
No, absolutely, and we'd love to build one. That's something that we'd love to do down the line, although hopefully not too far down the line. I think it's missions that we've always had over the years is that we've been relying on the kindness and the courage, really, of local sports clubs or local social clubs that are often worried about disturbing the neighbours or the police coming because there's a lot of kids who turn up. We actually provide a place for young people who can't go to pubs or whatever to come and congregate and enjoy themselves.
And also to be enthused as well by music. Particularly there are fewer youth clubs and things like that. Well, let's not go down that road, but there are fewer places for them to go. But if they can go and be enthused by music, which has been something from the beginning of time, hasn't it? But their parents, their grandparents would have been enthused by going to different but similar kinds of concerts and venues. Why shouldn't they?
I think that's a really good point, and I'm quite proud of the fact that I think we're about the only place in Reigate, possibly Redhill, that provides that. It's a safe space. Kids can come, they can let their hair down, they can be amongst their friends. I mean, we've had some amazing nights with Reigate College bands. 100 of their friends and followers would come down and there'd be a bit of a mosh pit and they go mad. In over 10 years there's never been a hint of trouble, and it's really good.
To actually have a young person who's composed something and he's going on stage, they're performing, they're saying, this is my passion, this is what I love, and they've got friends and family there to support them. That's only a good thing, isn't it?
It's a fantastic thing. And we've seen people who've come and done their first ever performance at New Music Nights, and then 2 years later they're on the stage at the summer festival and there's 100 of their friends like roaring them on. I mean, it's very moving and incredibly powerful, and you just see how these people grow and develop and sharpen up their act in public. I think there's no better way of doing it.
And then the pride of the town when perhaps they do go on to bigger and better things, because even though that's tough, some people will make a name for themselves, either regionally or nationally or possibly even internationally. It does happen. And for them to say, actually, it all started here in Reigate Red Hill is brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, it would be great. I mean, Reigate has had its success stories of Disclosure, and I think, Fatboy Slim was in Reigate, wasn't he? And other people. Katie Melly was Red Hill, wasn't she? So, there's a pedigree there. New Music Nights can't claim anyone like that yet, but there are people out there now trying to make it who, if they get that lucky break that you need, they could well do it. And I think the point is that if we didn't do this, there's no chance, right? So for anyone to have a chance, you've got to start somewhere.
And where are these usually held, and how often? How do people find out about them?
Well, now our venue is Reigate Priory Football Club. We do it first Friday of the month. We have a website, newmusicnights.co.uk, and we've got the usual social media, Facebook and Instagram. We also have an emailing list that we mail out pretty frequently.
And you want to expand this a little bit, don't you? A bit later on in the year, you want to branch out not just music, but other kinds of arts events as well. Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, since 2014, we've been doing a summer festival, New Music Fest. We've done, I think, 9 or 10 of those. This year, we didn't have a venue for it, and so we started looking around, and we'd often kind of had an idea of doing something in the middle of town. So we decided to try and explore that and see if we could get permission, and we've got permission. So basically, we're putting the festival on in the middle of town in Tunnel Road, is where the main stage is going to be, with another centre in the Methodist Church for a lot of choirs, and in the community centre at the back, I think there's going to be dance and some art. And we're calling it Reigate Summer Festival because it's broadening out beyond music, dance, drama, comedy, literature. Hopefully you'll be in Reigate on the weekend of Father's Day weekend, so it's the 14th, 15th, 16th of June, and you'll just feel there's a buzz, and wherever you go there'll be things on in the pubs, the main stage in Tunnel Road, the community centre, the cinemas involved, the library, Waterstone's getting involved, so there's just going to be stuff going on everywhere you go. It's going to have a buzz.
This sounds tremendous. How can people get involved if they're thinking, OK, I'm doing something which is a little bit different. I play glockenspiel and I do cover versions of The Stranglers on glockenspiel or whatever it happens to be. I don't know. Whatever crazy thing. Or maybe they do something that usually we see on Britain's Got Talent, some weird and wonderful but brilliant stilt walking while dressed as Liz Truss or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
how do they... I don't know. You're getting an insight into my mind. How do they get in touch if they want to volunteer their act, be part of this?
Yeah, you can email hello@New Music Nights. If there's not room for you this year, there'll be room next year. So, just tell us what you're about and we'd love to hear about it.
You're already thinking of next year. You reckon this is going to be a success, don't you?
I really do, because we've had such positive response to it. Everyone that we've spoken to, be it a group that does something artistic or be it a venue that might want to put it on, they've all jumped at it and they can see it, a vision that's not hard to grasp. The years that I've lived here, which is nearly a quarter of a century now, just aware that there's so much artistic stuff going on in town.
It's all been a bit disparate, hasn't it? A bit separate,
Yeah.
But joining it all together under one name, under one banner, makes sense.
It absolutely does, because I think everyone puts in a lot of effort voluntarily to run all these different groups. They're all having to build their own audience and do their own publicity, and it's all siloed, I suppose. So to share the load just makes absolute sense.
And also I'm thinking, Tim, that when people come along to a particular choir or a band or a performance poet or whatever it happens to be, if they want to join with that particular group, for them to be able to have their banner up, to be able to give out leaflets and so on, it's a really good way for people to take a sample perhaps of different choirs, say, and see which one fits in with their particular love of music or their particular style or genre.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's a big attraction for the people who are taking part and putting on acts. It's an opportunity for them to let everybody know that they're there and what they do, and drum up interest like that.
How good has the council been in helping you? Because sometimes it can be a bit difficult, can't it, knocking on doors at the town hall?
They've been great. I mean, in all honesty, I've never really tried knocking on doors too much at the town hall, but I've always been aware that there's not been much of an element of the arts there until recently, and I feel that's changed. We all know what's been going on with the Harlequin, and that's created problems for them, and it's forced them to look at alternatives, and we provide that alternative, and so does everybody else involved. And so they've been really behind it. They've been really helpful. I'm glad to say it's good for the town.
It's good for the town, and also it's good for those venues as well, isn't it? Because it's all of these acts are going to be performing in much more intimate venues where you're going to be able to get closer to the person that's doing a book reading or singing solo on the mic or whatever it happens to be. Much more intimate than, the Harlequin, fantastic when it was there, and it may come back, we're not entirely sure at the moment, but that big auditorium experience is something a little bit different.
Everything has its place, doesn't it, in the overall mix, but I think personally I really like smaller intimate venues as you've described it, where you can sort of see the sweat on the brow of the person who's performing and you can see their emotion coming across, and and it feeds back. It's a two-way thing. Watching a performance, I think when it's that raw, it's got a real power about it.
And a bit more friendly. Your background is music as well, aren't you? You are a performer too.
It's nice of you to say so. I play in a band. I often sort of hesitate to call myself a musician, but I play enthusiastically in a band. And, that was one of the drivers for starting the whole New Music Nights thing, that, we play our own songs, and it was quite hard to find a place that wanted us to play our own songs. They wanted us doing Mustang Sally or, Sweet Home Alabama and all that sort of stuff, which we can't play. I've always loved music, so I just find it a very exciting world. And I think there's so many aspects to it, from the technical side, the music sound tech side that attracts people, through to the marketing side of it. There's something for everyone in music.
That's really interesting what you say about that. It's not just the performers that you're going to be attracting to this. You're also going to need people who are maybe at one of the local colleges who are interested in going into events management or marketing and promotions and those kinds of things.
Absolutely.
Or sound, because you're going to have microphones and mixers and all that kind of stuff as well. Yeah. It's right across the board that the whole town is going to potentially get involved with. This is really exciting.
Yeah, well, the opportunity's there. And we've worked with the college closely from the start. We've got a student called Flynn who's been helping us with sound for the last year and a half or so, who's brilliant, and he brings this enthusiasm and this willingness, and he's learning. And we've had other people similarly in years gone by who've gone on to ACM in Guildford and are now in careers working as sound technicians. That's a real success story, and I'm not claiming all the credit for that, but I would claim some credit for it. We've given them valuable work experience, and they've absolutely grasped the opportunity.
What are your hopes for the festival this year and perhaps going on into the future?
I hope that people turn up and that they get excited about it and give it a chance, because I think anything new people can be sceptical about. But there's going to be something for everybody here. And so the first thing to do is you can look on the website, see what's on, see where it's on, read about what sort of thing it is, and just plan how you want to enjoy that weekend. Sunday is Father's Day, so we're going to have a few dad bands. I just think there's something for everybody. So that, it will be lively on Saturday night. It will be a bit more family Saturday afternoon and Sunday morning maybe. And so just plan it yourself and come and get from it what you want.